Welcome back to FTW, the greatest video game award-winning podcast in the world, where we showcase pink 360 controllers, apparently. It's good to be back, and if you're tuning in for the first time, definitely go on Spotify and give us 5 stars, and also give this video a thumbs up and all that good stuff. And we have a sponsor. You look behind Henry, there's a lot of flamethrowers on the wall, and you can get one at superscorcher.com, home of the Super Scorcher, the best replica available of Elon Musk's infamous Not A Flamethrower. Crafted using authentic components, this propane-powered beast shoots flames up to 6 feet. With limitless customization options available, your flamethrower can be as unique as you are. Pyromania meets playtime with Super Scorcher. Customize yours today. Let the flames begin. Lots going on since our last episode. This is episode 30, guys. And it's so much happening. Today, a couple Call of Duty professionals actually filed a lawsuit against Activision, which is really crazy, that we need to talk about. Also, over the last couple weeks, Apple Vision Pro was released, which we need to just touch base on. All the Xbox rumors that were flying around last week about, canceling consoles and Xbox not having exclusives anymore, and all of this stuff is happening. And Epic and Disney announced a $1.5 billion investment collab that they're doing. So just like tons of stuff happened in the last couple weeks, and I'm excited to get into it. Not to mention Live Moss Live happened the other day, which Taco Bell talked about, the next year of innovation in the Taco Bell space.
Next year of timed releases. From them.
Yeah. So we'll get to all of it on today's episode. But first, Call of Duty League teams have banded together, including Scump and H3CZ, to file a lawsuit against Activision, citing its monopolistic hold over the COD esports scene. Throughout the lawsuit, CDL team owners point to a number of restrictions enforced by COD's publisher. For one, Activision allegedly holds the exclusive right to contract with the most lucrative sponsors, limiting the brand's individual teams and players can enlist to drive additional revenue. This could be either really, really big or nothing. But what do you think this is a smart move to go after the big boys like this?
I mean, I guess I don't really fully know how it's really different from normal sports in any regard as far as that all goes,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of different claims, and basically what it sounds like and what they said is that the CDL impermissibly enriched Activision at the expense of the professional Call of Duty players and the team now under Activision's thumb. So it sounds like they were really kind of forcing a lot of. I was reading a bit about it, and they were forcing players to pay all kinds of different fees, and then forcing them to do different things they didn't necessarily want to do if they were gonna participate in the tournament. And it was just all this kind of stuff that was all like enriching to Activision, what they have going, and then the players just kind of getting screwed. So, yeah. Anyways, well, I mean,
yeah, the only other kind of scene that I'm familiar with is the Smash Brothers scene, and so seeing how Nintendo has treated those players, it seems like it's kind of par for the course for these large organizations to want to have a lot of control and keep a tight grip on their games and how their games are played. But I mean, if you compare some of this stuff to, other like professional sports leagues, like if you want to keep drawing the comparisons between esports and other sports, like the NFL has a lot of rules for players to follow. They have to do all kinds of things that they don't want to do, like talking to the press and doing charity work and, all kinds of stuff that they might not normally want to do. So, I mean, they have really strict rules, and I mean, they're fining players all the time for stuff happening on the field and off the field. So I think it just kind of comes along with the territory if you want to be considered professional in a sport.
They need it. They want to control their brand, right? They want to control exactly how the brand is portrayed, and that's how it is. I'm not saying necessarily that's what Activision is doing, probably, but that's what every other like major sports league does. Just like you were saying, John. That's what I said earlier. Like, how does that compare to the professional world, right? Like professional sports, it's kind of when you reach that sort of level, like, yeah, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Should it be that way?
Like if you think of like an NFL player, you want to play football somewhere else professionally, go for it. Like figuring out like where you're gonna go.
I'm going to the XFL.
A lot of these players, I mean, they all have stuff in their contract that they can't even play football outside of like the regular season. Like they can work out and practice, but like they can't, go rock climbing or skydiving or, all of these things that would, if they got injured, would, cost the team a lot of money. So it just comes with being a professional. You got to sacrifice a lot of things, and a lot of stuff sucks. Now, I'm not a fan of this league making them pay things like fees and things to enter tournaments like that. They should be getting a check for everything.
That makes it more like the professional wrestling world, because the professional wrestlers, they are considered contractors with like the WWE. They don't, like, WWE doesn't give them insurance, health insurance, or anything else like that, and it's definitely like a pay-in sort of thing to hopefully end up paying off. That's how pro wrestling is, and still started, and it still is that way to this day. So it seems kind of more like on that kind of regard too, because when you're one of the contractors with the WWE, you have to present yourself in specific ways that the WWE would like you to, or otherwise you're no longer going to be part of that organization.
Yeah, and on the kind of the flip side, one of the highlights of the lawsuit, which to your point, John, I completely agree with. I think if you want to be like a professional Call of Duty player, whatever, and you agree to play in this league, that comes with expectations, that comes with rules and different things. One of the things they're referencing, though, in this lawsuit is a time when it came up to him and basically through I don't know if it was a contract, but basically he says he was forced to agree to a lengthy Activision drafted document while at a photo shoot without adequate time to review, under the threat of being excluded from the COD League. And so that's one thing, like that kind of stuff, just shady, like unprofessional, he's at a photo shoot. And again, we don't have the whole story and we don't know all the context, but if that is the case where he's just at a photo shoot and they show up with something that Activision drafted and said, hey, you need to sign this. And he's like, no, give me time, give me a day, give me 48 hours. And they say, well, if you don't sign it, you're going to be out of the league. That's obviously like, I don't know, it's kind of like blackmail. And then the other thing he points to is even a year after being retired out of the league, they still use their monopoly power to prevent them from getting sponsorships and revenue opportunities. So I think to your point, there is some of that, which I think professional in esports maybe need to get used to. But also, if there is shady dealings like that where they're like, taking advantage of these players because they are small and don't have like a voice, and it's like
that sort of thing happens in all the pro, like going back to like real sports. That sort of thing happens there too. We all know it does.
For sure. But I'm just saying. I don't think.
I'm not saying it's right. No,
right.
I'm not saying it. I'm not excusing it. It's like, that obviously shouldn't be happening. It's just in general, right?
Yeah.
So.
680 million in damages. That's what the teams, all the collective teams that are. It's not just him. It's like a collective teams who are all like. I don't know if it would be considered class action, but they're all banding together. To put this lawsuit together. So it's not just one person too. That's what's crazy. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. And Activision did respond actually later today. And, they basically said that Scump demanded tens of millions of dollars to avoid meritless litigation. And when their demands were not met, they filed. So they obviously deny everything, but crazy.
Big bad corporation.
Big bad corporation. Yeah, I mean that's the last thing these leagues need that already are barely profitable, but Apple Vision Pro,
profitable at all.
Yeah, if profitable. So the Apple Vision Pro was released, 2 weeks ago or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of all the internet rage, and Zuckerberg actually posted finally about after a week it was released. He posted a video on his Instagram account, and he basically gave his official verdict on the Vision Pro versus his company's Quest 3 headset. And he basically said, I don't just think that Quest is better value. I think Quest is the better product, period.
Okay, why is this a headline? Why is this a headline? Because,
what do you mean?
Yeah, he's going to say his own product is better. If we're going to talk about, being held to standards with contracts and stuff, you know how many shareholders would be at his throat if he's like, oh yeah, no, Apple Vision Pro beats the snot out of the Quest 3. No, so why is this a headline?
Well, it is because people are the way he did it. So he recorded himself talking. Someone else had a Quest 3 headset on, and he was sitting on the couch, and they recorded him talking about it. And it felt very much like not a really corporate stuffy ours is better because da 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 da. It was like, hey, I spent this last week with the Apple Vision Pro, and I was wearing it around and da da da, and I'm just gonna give you my honest thoughts. And he basically, it felt way more like a YouTube tech.
I can understand you feeling like it's authentic, but if you think there's even if you think there is a greater than zero chance for him to say that the Apple Vision Pro was better than his own product, there's no way that would ever even possibly happen, even if the Apple Vision Pro is better. And he thought that deep down. He wouldn't have said it. Full stop. I don't think that's...
Yeah, well, I don't think he would have made the video if it was way better.
Well, right, but that's the thing. It's obviously you want to defend your product, so you're going to release a video. It's absolutely moot to me. There's no. That's if we were just thinking about other video game wise, right? That'd be anybody from one brand saying that the other one is the better product. It's not going to happen ever.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it probably is the better product.
The Quest 3? Yeah, as far as depending on what you're doing, yeah, I would say so.
Did you know you could play Xbox games on Quest 3?
There's a few, yeah. I think there's Minecraft and...
Well, no, Zuckerberg said, let me see. I can look it up. He mentioned it.
I think there's been a lot of people who...
Game Pass is on Quest 3.
Oh, really? All of it? That's crazy.
Yeah, December 13th, 2023. Play Xbox Game Pass on even more devices with MetaQuest 3 today.
Is it just the games that are like through the cloud? Like
players with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate can now enjoy hundreds of games with their MetaQuest headset with the Xbox Cloud Gaming beta app. So most of the ones I've seen on there have cloud enabled, but
yeah, a lot of them. I feel like at an increasing rate, looking at what they're putting onto Game Pass.
Yeah. Speaking of, 34 million Game Pass subscribers currently. That's what they announced. Actually, I think it was today. Last week, there was a gazillion rumors flying around about Xbox and the Xbox exclusive games going to other consoles and platforms. And today, Phil Spencer, Mr. Booty, and the new president, I forget her name, of Activision, she came on and they talked about the future of something like that. They talked about the future of Xbox and addressed all the rumors. But to be honest, it was just everyone overreacting and not a lot has changed at all. It was basically a big PR fluff. They talked about Activision Blizzard games are coming to Game Pass. Yeah, obviously. We knew that was going to happen. They didn't necessarily outright say it. Now they've outright said, yeah, Activision games are coming, and starting with Diablo 4. And then basically they said we have 4 games that are going to be going to other consoles, other platforms, and it's not Starfield and it's not the Indiana Jones game, but they are basically just testing out the waters to see what's, how they do. And so in my mind, I'm like, yeah, they're leaving the door open. If Xbox games go to PlayStation and they crush and do well, I mean, who are we kidding? That they're not going to just open up more and more so they get more players. So we'll see. We could be playing Halo on the Switch sooner than later.
No chance.
You don't want to play some Halo in 17?
Not after that. Not after the Mortal Kombat port.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
I think the Switch could pull off MCC because you gotta remember what it's really doing.
Yeah,
it's just ports of games that are super old. So
yeah,
I don't think the Switch has a good enough controller. Can you connect the Xbox controller to it?
There's ways. I have an adapter for mine because I don't like the Joy-Cons. I can't stand the stupid Joy-Con. I don't have big hands, but the Joy-Cons cramp it so bad that I cannot play. My Switch stays docked. I want the exact opposite of the Switch Lite. I want the Switch Macro where it's just like a box with no screen. Just let me hook it up to my TV. That's all I want.
I hate how the vibration feels, the rumble feels on those controllers too.
Really? You don't like it?
It puts me straight into a dentist chair when I feel it. I'm just I don't want to hold the controller. I want to put it down.
Yeah, I don't mind it, but there's adapters.
Smaller, a smaller rumble pack.
It's not just a smaller rumble pack. They call it what was it, haptic rumble or something? It was something extra. But it's supposed to be a much more sensitive way they can make the controller rumble versus the original rumble pack, which was literally just a motor with a off-center weight, and that's all that happened. That's how it worked. It's just
I mean, I've had Rumble turned off on my Xbox controller for a long time now. But that's more kind of like all over, kind of heavier Rumble. This one, it just is like very fast and like.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I was kind of I watched the whole quote podcast, and I was just kind of relieved, that like my favorite video game brand and everything is not just like disappearing, and Xboxes are just going to be gone, especially with the way games are these days. They don't stick around. There's no physical media, and it's like, man, is this all just going to kind of evaporate in the next 5 to 10 years? But that was something Phil Spencer mentioned, is he sees exclusives being a smaller and smaller part of the gaming industry as a whole in the next 5 to 10 years, because they're almost all either on a console and PC, or a couple of consoles, and they've really enjoyed the fact that a game can now be so much bigger than just the console install base. Like, they're talking about like the Roblox and the Minecrafts and things, where it's just like huge Palworld, and that's the kind of stuff I think they're chasing right now.
And I think it's a good idea, honestly, because like if it happened, that was their big announcement that they were stepping out, I wouldn't have been surprised, because like Microsoft has been hinting at and slowly stepping towards like a games as a service kind of option, with them being on like Samsung TVs starting like 2-3 years ago, and then they had that prototype Xbox that was like a Fire Stick that never came out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wouldn't have been surprised if they were finalizing that stage. And like I've had this discussion before with people, and I've equated it to like just the movie industry. Like, can you imagine a movie coming out, but it's exclusive for a different brand Blu-ray player? Which is honestly, I guess, what streaming services do. But like,
Mm-hmm.
and we all hate it. So,
Yeah.
I don't mind. I don't think it's. I don't think I don't think it's anything to be worried about. I think everyone just snowballed, and I don't think they even would have had this presser if that didn't snowball like it did online.
Yeah, it went like nothing super viral.
Yeah.
See, I grew up on the internet, and I was always told, don't believe everything you read on the internet. And nobody thinks that way anymore.
True.
You can get a tweet from a random account, and the wrong person or right person retweets it, and it just spreads like crazy. And I think the guy that first kind of tweeted these rumors had some credibility, but it's still just like rumors,
Mm-hmm.
It's like the game of telephone. It was like very extrapolated from like you could see where the kernel of truth and what it was, and just how it like just took on a life of its own.
Right.
But it's
then
interesting.
Like randos started chiming in like, oh, we think Gears of War is also on deck for being on other consoles, and then like I saw that being headlines like on video game blog sites and things, and yeah, just got way out of control, and people just really overreacted. I mean, everything's like so reactionary on the internet now, but
you would think that as like it's gotten easier to fake information online, that people would become more skeptical of the information that they find online.
Don't believe everything you read on the internet.
They also committed to hardware and Xbox hardware, which I like because I'm just an Xbox gamer through and through. But if no other reason, just blind loyalty. But I am interested because we were covering all the FTC court case and all the leaks and everything. I am getting more and more interested in the potential for an Xbox handheld and what that could look like. And the Switch is the only like handheld I have had in a long time, and I don't really use it that much, but I do think as more of my ecosystem is built around Xbox, that kind of intrigues me a little bit. And so I'm excited if they do that and it can be a massive win. I think that would be pretty cool.
Well, here's the thought also, since you mentioned the lawsuit, is like the whole lawsuit was, because the FTC was afraid that like Microsoft would become a monopoly, right?
Right.
Like they thought if this purchase of Activision Blizzard goes through, Microsoft is going to have a monopoly in the gaming industry, and that's bad for the consumer. So I think that in a lot of ways, this press conference that they did was in response to that, saying, look, we're putting these games on other platforms. We're not a monopoly. We're giving things to other people, other consoles, platforms they can play. We're not doing it just to sell more Xboxes and like have a tight grip on things, Here, like right in response to having that victory in court, here's 4 games that are going to other consoles.
Yeah.
Not a monopoly.
I think they can it's just gonna be so interesting. So interesting the next few years. How this pans out. And not to mention, like, there's also that's like I feel like some of the good side of it, but then the bad side is there was another story, which I don't think we're gonna cover tonight, of people losing their digital libraries once again for another thing. That was another thing, and it's just like, when are people gonna wake up and realize that when you do this, you don't own it? Like, you don't. You think you do, but you don't. So you just need to come to terms with that and be okay with it. Like, just if you're gonna pay the money and you have a digital good and it's pulling from a cloud, hey, newsflash, you just don't own it, and you got to be okay with that.
I've been saying that for over a decade, right? I've been saying it, and people thought I was like a lunatic or like overreactionary, and
now
here I am being proven
it's starting
right.
to happen like way more, right? Because
it's
the
happening
initial
way more.
like I think of like the iTunes era, right, John? Remember like when The Office first came out, you had to buy the episodes actually because it wasn't a big show yet. You had to buy the episodes on iTunes to watch them, and like it started, and all these things are finally like over a decade old now, and it's like, oh, they're just gone now. Like, you spent money on it. It was just like a long-term rental. You actually didn't own it,
and
like,
so that's the
just
thing.
pull it.
I feel like to get around this, because this is causing a bigger and bigger uproar, is that services can easily just change this. Like, stop calling it a purchase. Stop calling it a buy.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Literally just call it like long-term rental. And that
see
solves
how
that.
goes over.
Yeah.
I mean,
right. Well, and that's the thing. That's the thing, because a purchase is like, okay, I'm buying it, and I will spend, like, I bought Baldur's Gate 3 digital, and I spent $70. I purchased it. Now, I know in my head good and well that in 10 years' time, I probably maybe won't be able to play that game anymore. Like, I won't be able to.
You purchased a license, and that's
right.
the difference.
And so it's like that whole, but people don't understand that. And maybe they need to put like license purchase or something like that. Or, but you're right, the language needs to be changed, because no one wants to buy a long-term rental for $70.
You just have to remember how freaking stupid the average consumer is. And like, that's who you have to like tone everything down for. And that's the reality of everything. You have to idiot-proof everything in this world, and that's just one aspect of it. Like you can get all legalese if you want, and be like you're purchasing a license, but they don't care. They don't care that they agreed to that when they clicked OK on the EULA, that they scrolled all the way through. Even if you force them to have to scroll through before they can click the OK button, they don't care. They didn't read it, and if they did, they probably can't understand with the words that they just read. And there's, you have to just simplify it as much as you can, and it's a really big shame. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Current gen gaming, Epic Games announces last week their collab with Disney. So Disney made a $1.5 billion investment into Epic, which basically means they're going to be partnering with them. Now, they've already partnered with them on like Star Wars stuff and different skins, but it looks like, according to the trailer, it looks like they're going to really build out a whole Disney universe inside the Unreal Engine in the Fortnite world. So you're going to log on to Fortnite and you're going to be able to go over to the Disney tab and have like an entire universe. So to me, the vibes I get is Disney's reading the writing on the wall. I mean, like, we need to make a Roblox Disney universe, and Fortnite is the right play for that. They're the right partner to have a, Roblox type platform that we can use all our IP on and all our stuff. They didn't say, they haven't like announced games or anything, but it'll be very interesting to see. 1.5 billion is no small investment. And what the last game they did was like Lion King for the Sega or something like that. So, they haven't made a big play in the gaming space for a while.
Disney had like one of the first like children MMORPGs.
What was that?
Toontown. In the late 90s, early 2000s, they were kind of a groundbreaker in that regard.
Toontown. What was that on?
Yeah. PC. It was an PC. MMO. Yeah. It ran for a long time. Like, Toontown? I want to say...
Toontown Online.
It's still around?
Or
at least it ran for 10 years?
I mean, I could be down for a World of Warcraft, but like Disney. That'd be crazy. We'll see what happens there. Should be fun. Taco Bell Live Más Live shook the internet to its core this last week. And I don't think a lot of people even knew this was happening, but they basically held their first... Well, it says, the caption says inaugural, but this is the first I've ever heard of it. Have they done this before?
Isn't that what inaugural means?
First one.
That's what inaugural means.
Oh, is that what it means? I thought, that's annual. I got annual mixed up with it.
It's annual next year. It's inaugural this year. It's the first.
Their inaugural Live Más Live event Friday in a pop-up space on the Las Vegas Strip. Taco Bell will launch at least one new product every 5 weeks, or twice the rate of 2023. So imagine an Apple keynote event, but it's all Taco Bell.
So it was really awesome, but I am disappointed still.
What are you disappointed about?
Okay, so one of the big reveals.
Let's get into it.
So I live in a test market, apparently. So
lucky.
One of the test market items that they said is coming out, and it's like the chicken empanada or whatever. It's out. I can go get one.
Right.
I could have ordered it tonight with dinner. Like, when I had Taco Bell tonight for dinner, actually. And
I did too.
Because I was telling Allison about this. I was like, "You want some Taco Bell?" She was like, "Yeah, I'm down." So the chicken empanada thing, I got it. I can already get it. The big reveal, the giant Cheez-It.
Yeah.
That was test marketed in the Seattle area in 2021. I've had it. So
Oh,
yeah,
you're lucky.
I've already had it like 2 years ago. Like,
Dang.
and then it's funny. I looked this up on Reddit, and somebody like a year or so ago, 2 years ago, they're going, "What happened to the Cheez-It?" And everyone's talking about like, oh, it was probably just too expensive for them to make at larger scale, blah 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 blah. And then of course, as of like 2 days ago, someone's like, "Boy, do I have news for you!" They like bumped the thread. It was like years ago. But so yeah, I am a little disappointed that the big reveal is something I had like 2 years ago, and then they're bringing like one of the new ones they also revealed. I can already have, and so and the Choco Taco thing, I called it like years ago when Choco Taco got discontinued, like 2 years ago or a year ago or whatever it was. I said Taco Bell's going to start selling it. It would just make sense with their whole shtick.
So your spicy beef is that you live in a test market and nothing's really surprising you.
There were still surprises. There was things I still really think are going to be good.
What are you excited about?
So I was just disappointed with the big reveal being something that like was apparently decently like a wide test market was with the Cheez-It Crunch Wrap. It's a decent sized test market. Yeah, that's exactly what you think. It's just an extra like snap and cheesy kind of crunch inside of your Crunch Wrap. Like it's extra crunchy.
So what are you excited about?
The gelato?
Ooh, yeah.
I'm excited for their take on the Choco Taco because they're not just bringing back the Choco Taco, which is what I thought was going to happen. They are reworking it, and that sounds exciting. I'm lactose intolerant, but I'm going to try those shakes. Allison is excited about the prospect of the caramel apple empanada coming back. I would rather have that come back than I don't remember what the other thing. There was like a voting thing between caramel apple panada and what was the other one? I don't even remember. Just some other like taco thing.
And they're adding the avocado verde salsa.
Yes.
Which
Allison and I talked about how much we wanted the green salsa back, right? The verde sauce that they discontinued. And so it's not the same, but it's still based around the same concept. So I'll look to try that because I like the green sauce that they had before. And was it a pie or was that a cheesecake for the Baja Blast? Like it was Baja Blast pie, right? It looks like a key lime pie.
It was like a cream pie.
I think
key lime pie.
Yeah, it looks like a key lime pie with like just blue. So I wish truly that every like fast food joint would do this. When I watched this, I was hyped. I'm like, this is more exciting than like anything we've got in gaming in the last like 10 years. Well, we got tired of it with gaming. This was just E3 but fast food. Like that's all it was. It's like remember when E3 was like this and unexpected, and we we expected too much out of E3. We did it to ourselves.
Well, I think that I think this built like a lot of hype, and even though it's like kind of memey, right? They're self-aware a bit, but
they were very self-aware throughout the whole thing.
But I think like other companies have to look at this and be like, there's something in this, even if they just do like a once a year live event, like Jack in the Box.
I was about to say Jack in the Box is the one I could see doing.
Like has enough brand and cheekiness to do something, and they're always bringing in new products. So I'm like, dude, some of these people, like some of these restaurant or fast food places should like jump on this and build some hype around their brands, around their products, around their partnerships. And I think it could be like, I'm looking at this gelato in this picture right now. I'm like, as soon as I can get my hands on Baja Blast gelato, I gotta try it. But that's just
Baja Blast is 20 years old.
Yeah, and that's the big announcement. Apparently, it's a permanent flavor now, which
it's been a permanent flavor.
But you could buy it in cans at stores. Apparently, they were bringing it in and out, and it wasn't permanent.
Oh,
Mountain Dew was for.
Yeah, and that's
cans?
what I thought, Henry. That was my first response too. I'm like,
I've just never had problems finding it.
Around. I know. That's exactly what I said. And then I was like, I was like, oh, I guess it is like more seasonal, but now they're just gonna like always have it.
Okay,
so that's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I just have never had an issue finding it when I wanted Baja Blast, so I never thought that it was like a seasonal thing like the Voodoo and Pitch
summer
Black.
flavors.
Yeah. Would if Jack in the Box were to do something like this, would you prefer it be like this with the actual CEO and everything, or would you want Jack on the stage from the commercials?
Oh, Jack would be so good.
Right?
I don't need the CEO. I don't care who the CEOs are. I want someone who's a good presenter, ultimately.
That's the thing. Like, the CEOs did do a good job of, like, coming across as authentic and, like, as presenters and not just a very stuffy CEO. I think it would be interesting and very Jack in the Box to do this. If they were to do it with Jack.
Yeah.
And towards the end, for the final reveal, it's also another reveal. He removes the head, and the person on stage the whole time was actually the CEO. Acting as the spokesman, Jack.
Oh my gosh.
And then he reveals the final, like, ultimate taco cheeseburger triple-decker munchie box or whatever they would do.
Yeah. What's got you excited, John? I know you had some trouble with the crunchy Doritos Locos Taco today.
Yeah. I had a bad experience with Taco Bell today.
Mine wasn't that great either. Mine was cold. Yeah, what happened with you?
I was on my way to a wedding, of all things, and it was like 4, and the wedding didn't start till 5:30, which means we probably weren't eating till like 6 something, and like I didn't have a lot of lunch, so I was hungry. So I drove through Taco Bell and got Deluxe Cravings box.
Nice.
And usually what I do is I open the box this way, long ways, set it right in my lap, and then I can drive and eat. No problem.
No problem.
I pull out the Doritos Locos Taco, and I pull it out, and the entire bottom just like completely falls off. And so then I have like this tube of meat just like sitting on my lap, on my pants, hit my shirt, just everything, like on my way to a wedding. And so I'm just covered in their stupid bag meat. And I'm just like, are you serious right now? Like, I put the box there to catch it. I even thought I was like leaning forward, but it just fell like right between the box and like my stomach and just. And so it was a whole thing, a whole mess. But on a lighter note, like one of my favorite tweets of all time. The CEO referenced another tweet that was good, but still my favorite Taco Bell tweet of all time is the one where the guy said Taco Bell is like the only fast food place where I don't know what I'm ordering until I get there. I pull up, look at the menu, and just like let it speak to me. Like whatever I see, whatever I feel, it just speaks to me. So that's one of my favorite tweets of all time.
I want to know what the person who won the award for Best Taco Bell Hack, I want to know what he did. I was expecting
they didn't explain the awards or show or give examples or anything.
I wanted to see the Taco Bell car.
They won this.
They won the best car of the drive-thru. He had a Taco Bell themed car. Here you go, Greg Sanderson or whatever his name was. And it's like, well, can I see it?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think.
it was a good first effort, I think.
Yeah, I would love to see more jump on board. I think Arby's could potentially pull it off. I think Jack in the Box is a shoe-in for this kind of thing. I think you know who like really needs it, who does a lot of collabs but has fallen off really hard. Burger King. King needs to come out swinging because Burger King has truthfully fallen off of a cliff, and on every metric, just like quality, service, taste, everything. Like Burger King's so low tier right now.
You want to talk about Burger King service? You know, if you go there since 2022, it's supposed to be a like rule that they offer you a crown, no matter how old you are. They're supposed to offer you a crown.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a whole big thing about it. Like, yeah, apparently it doesn't happen as much as the CEO would like it to. He's very disappointed.
Bro, that's the least of your worries with Burger King right now, dude. You got stale bread on a chicken sandwich like 4 months ago, and I was like, all right, I'm done. Like, I'm out. I'm out.
Burger King had Surge for a long time, and now they don't.
Yeah. Big mistake.
I remember when David didn't believe me that they had Surge at Burger King still. So, like,
gosh.
Yeah.
I recorded a video of me going through the drive-thru and ordering a Surge just to like send him.
Yeah. Also, IHOP could, I think, make this a big win because they do a lot of cool collaborative promotions all the time. And Domino's. I think Domino's also through the year they do a lot of cool stuff. I think Domino's could pull off one of these and talk about all the like cool different. They have the type of brand that could do this. I feel. Anyways, that's my take.
I forgot they were adding tahini stuff.
Mm.
Like that's gonna be really good. I like tahini.
Yeah, with your horchata.
I don't know if I want to put it on a crunchy taco, but
yeah.
Yeah, really, all I want is the grande soft taco to come back. I'll try the Cheez-It.
I feel like Arby's could do something like this because they have interesting commercials that people reference, but like I also see a lot of memes of people going, "Who the hell is eating at Arby's?" Because
yeah.
I gotta say, yeah, I don't eat there very often. So
one of the best things I could do is do a live stream event, but then pay for like 100,000 viewers, like bots or something, just to like mess with people. Like, wait, how are there this many people tuning into an Arby's keynote right now?
Who's keeping Arby's open? Them. These are the ones.
Oh my gosh, dude!
Just buy like 100,000 viewers.
Oh man, that'd be hilarious. And of course, McDonald's could do something like this and crush. Even Starbucks, but theirs would be more in the Apple side. You know, theirs would be a little more stuffy. Theirs couldn't be funny. It'd be like, here's some cool drinks we're rolling out, partnerships and whatever.
No, like in my brain, I was just imagining earlier I was rewatching part of the iPod Nano reveal, where Steve Jobs is like, "You ever wonder what this packet's for?" He's like, "I'll show you." And he pulls out the iPod Nano, and in my head, I just saw someone pulling coffee out. Like as you were like, Starbucks would be more like Apple. I'm just reimagining that.
Dude, speaking of Starbucks, I miss that Facebook group so much. That aesthetic group. What was it called?
Oh,
what, Y2K aesthetic?
No, the one that was like a Global Village Coffee House aesthetic.
Global Village Coffee House.
Where did it go? Did someone shut it down?
I think there's some controversy and people got mad and
that is insane.
But it was literally one of my favorite things to look at, like almost every day, to see what people were posting in there. It's so good.
So it's archived. It's still up. You can still go look at all the old posts. But like,
really,
it was cool seeing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when you added us to that group, Henry. Global Village Coffee House aesthetic. It's great, and it's all the little
so
the sand
good.
guys with the saxophones. It's like this Arizona, like Midwest, like
the
aesthetic.
area that we grew up, the area and era that we grew up in, like it's so perfect for that, like you know that aesthetic.
And it's like
we were like
it's
deep in the roots
any
of it.
coffee houses,
Mhm.
like that's what they look like.
We were at the Mecca.
We were at the
Seattle.
global
the
village
90s
Mecca.
Yeah, 100%. And that just radiated to like our elementary schools. I'm sure, like just think about all the crap our teachers had and wore.
Yeah,
Just, yep.
yeah. It's so good.
I love it so much.
The PS5 is entering the latter half of its life cycle, according to the senior vice president Naomi Matsuoka. And basically, during the last earnings call, she said, looking ahead, PS5 will enter the latter half of its cycle. As such, we will put more emphasis on the balance between profitability and sales. For this reason, we expect the annual sales pace PS5 hardware will start falling from the next fiscal year.
Dude, it's crazy. Like, there's literally like 5 exclusive games right now, like that are only on PS5 and like not also on on PC. Like, how are we at the later half of a console generation when there's 5 games?
Yeah, it's been a
Like,
really
answer me, like-
weird like generation for me personally. Going through original Xbox, going through 360, going through Xbox One, and now going through this generation. I mean, and we've belabored this point a million times, Henry, how like, we peaked in 360 and all this stuff, but you're so right, it's so bizarre. And I feel like Series X and PS5 have had somewhat similar trajectories in that it's like there's really no like really, really big reason to have them. And they got to get that figured out because when it was like 360 time, it was like, oh yeah, you get a 360, you're playing 360 games. And it's a difference. And for whatever reason, the last decade has really just blended together, and I don't know, it's been very bizarre.
I mean, it just cycles back to like that's exactly why it would make sense for like Microsoft to pivot Game Pass to be a very open subscription, right? Like it would because they've talked about it before, they lose money on consoles. And that's always been the thing. You lose your money on consoles and you make it up in game sales. So the Xbox division has never been profitable, but software can be. And so like if they could still paywall things to needing to pay for Game Pass. Like imagine there's a game that's on Game Pass so you can play on PlayStation, but you need to purchase Game Pass.
Right.
And that's a win for Microsoft by like opening it up to other software. It's that's what I foresee as the inevitable future. Because everything is just so like cross-pollinated now. There is no real difference to have one or the other. And I think they see that as well. We see that. We're just 3 dudes. You don't think people there that look at every single analytic have thought about that? So
yeah, I also feel like a lot of people got a late start to this generation. It was at least a couple years before I even saw PS5s and Xboxes on the shelf, in a store. But then that doesn't explain the fact that there's like literally no games that have come out for either one that aren't also on Xbox One or PC.
It's because I think most developers are more open to going fully multi-platform now that the hardware's so similar between PCs and consoles. It's really easy for a developer to like say, yeah, we're going to release it on like as many things as we can to make as much money as we can. versus like being locked in. That's how come any kind of oftentimes when it's an exclusive that gets agreed upon, it's like there's a deal that was made, like extra money was exchanged to lock that in. And I feel a lot of developers just in general aren't seeing that as like viable or like worth it anymore.
Yeah, so Series X/S counting like maybe 6, 7. It's hard to tell because some of these are like obviously also on PC too. So it's like maybe there aren't even Series X exclusives that aren't like, or like major titles, or I'm sure there's plenty of like little indie games or something that don't like come out on Xbox, but most
like,
of those are
like Microsoft doesn't want to fully compete with themselves, but they do have two competing things with PC, with running Windows and Xbox, and that's how and so that's how come they've made a big effort to kind of like combine those two with having Game Pass work on both, and so that's what they're seeing, right? And so like there's a lot of things that might not seem like an exclusive because they are on PC, but like you might have to go through Microsoft Game Store. They might not be on Steam. But then from a developer standpoint, that doesn't make sense to put something on PC and not put it on Steam because it's such a big marketplace there. So
yep, the future is
everything's just working against the idea of console exclusives anymore. Yep.
They did mention today in the Xbox little presentation that the next leap is supposed to be a really big one. I don't know exactly what that means, but they did say we're really excited about the next leap in console evolution. It's going to be a really big one. And so I hope
to be big, because
I hope that's signaling to like a really exciting future and what, because we're used to those leaps, but now we're kind of like, oh, it's not.
We haven't had a leap in years, in like decades at this point. Yeah.
So we'll see. The last thing I wanted to close out with was this little trailer I saw, and it's like gaming adjacent. It's about X-Men, but Disney Plus is dropping. They dropped a teaser trailer today for X-Men 97, and it's been over 30 years, if you remember the show, the cartoon from the 90s. It's been over 30 years since the show ended. And me and John, I don't know about you, Henry, but we grew up watching this show. We love this show. It's so good. And they're bringing it back, but it's not a reboot. It's a continuation of the original story. And it's in the same animation style. I don't know how they're going to do the voice actors and all that, but it's pretty cool. I'm like, oh man, that show gives me so much nostalgia. And it's actually one of the only things that I've really watched on Disney Plus is that classic show, because it just brings, like, when they're at the I think it's the first episode when Jubilee goes to the mall and then a freaking Sentinel comes down and Gambit's there. And yeah, I'm like, oh, this will be sick. Like a 90s cartoon continued. So anyways, I just thought that was kind of cool.
I remember with John when we went to your first Comic-Con and you were trying to find the X-Men animated series on like bootleg DVD.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, and I remember it hadn't been released.
Yeah, it hadn't been officially released, and then I remember at one point I think you wanted the song for your MySpace and you were trying to find the like MP3 in a pre YouTube to MP3 converter era. John was trying to find the theme song and he couldn't.
Was it even pre YouTube? Maybe
I don't think it was pre YouTube because YouTube came out right after, right before you and I became friends, and like after we were friends for just a few months. I was actually looking up. My YouTube account was made on December 3rd, 2005. Like, that's how old my account is.
And didn't YouTube start in 2005?
It did. I had my account dates back to the first year of YouTube.
Man,
That's crazy.
Yeah, crazy. But but in you were looking and you found on some random dude's website that hadn't updated since like 2002 or something like that. He had it as like auto playing in the background, and you were able to like save it from there.
Oh
Do you
my
remember that at all?
gosh.
no, I don't remember trying to find. I do remember trying to find the DVDs though, because then they got released while I was working at Blockbuster, and I was like, dude, and so I bought them while I was working at Blockbuster, and then
So
come to find out that they didn't include all the episodes, and like they mixed up the order on some, and then I got really annoyed
No.
on like those original DVD releases back in the day. But we had VHS tapes from Pizza Hut with X-Men episodes on it that we just like wore out. We watched them. I mean, I watched them all the time.
which theme song is better, the X-Men or the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers? Same artist, by the way, if you didn't know.
Oh, that makes sense.
You can hear the similarities once I said same guy.
Dean.
As this might be a hot take, but I think the Power Rangers theme song would be better without the vocals.
That makes sense considering he made those vocals like in 30 seconds, and they were like first try recording. Like
Yeah, well,
That's
that makes
crazy.
sense.
he didn't think that was the one they were gonna end up using, and they did. And
Yeah, I feel
I
like the
think-
Power Rangers is a little more cheesy with the go power, whereas the X-Men one, it's just the guitar. You know, so I like the. I do think you're right, John. I think it would be better without the vocals. It'd be like more hardcore.
because like I feel like I have a bias towards Power Rangers between
Sure,
these
sure.
two, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that the X-Men theme does match the tone of the show and get the right amount of like hype building for what you're about to experience. Power Rangers,
Mhm.
the song to me just like is super rad, and like but then the show's kind of a lot cheesier than the X-Men show is, honestly.
Mm.
Like, because you hear like do 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 do, you hear this like crazy like guitar solo with explosions, and it cuts to like three teenagers in a juice bar talking about gymnastics, and
Yeah.
it's like that's how the show is.
Yeah.
So like, they're very tonally different shows. Like honestly,
Totally.
X-Men is much more serious than Power Rangers. Power Rangers gets dark and serious at some points in the franchise, but like that first season when they wrote the song, no, not at all. So
So I watched the X-Men TV show before I ever played the X-Men arcade game. So, I was watching those early episodes, and the Sentinels are like taller than houses and huge. And then I went to Chuck E. Cheese and played the X-Men arcade game for the first time. And I was so disappointed that the Sentinels in the game were like the same size as all the superheroes. And I was just like, wait, what? I thought they were all like huge, big things. And now they're just like regular human sized. And just remember being kind of disappointed by that as a kid.
Yeah.
my sisters liked the show growing up, but it was too serious for me. There was too much talking. I didn't care for it. So like, I also didn't like the Batman animated series. I also didn't like the Spider-Man animated series. I didn't like them.
Man.
Too much
I love-
talking. Like, I
those
don't
are
care.
Those are
They're
all
good
my
shows. I like them now as an adult that has rewatched these shows. And I appreciate them a lot, and I like all three of those. But like, as a kid, I was like, no, man, I'd rather just be like doing anything else than
There's
watching.
so much more stuff you catch though too when you're an adult, like in those first X-Men episodes when Morph is watching TV and like the president comes on and he like morphs into him and he's like, "My fellow Americans, I am an idiot." And starts cracking up at himself. And then just like so much just, oh gosh, those shows are so fun.
Well, it's good to be back, boys. That's it for the pod. Anything else?
I'm as nervous as a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs.
Oh man, yeah, I'm gonna go watch X-Men. I haven't like binged. I haven't watched like the ending seasons, and so I know how this new show is gonna start. Is like, here's the last will and testament of Professor Charles Xavier, and like they hand it to the X-Men, and like that's kind of how it kicks off. So
yeah,
it should be good. I hope it's good. I hope it's better than all the other crap that's getting.
If I remember right, the original series gets pretty zany and wacky by the final handful of episodes.
Have you guys seen the Japanese opening for the animated series?
The X-Men?
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
For the Japanese dub of it, they redrew the intro. And it's more anime. It looks like it's X-Men the 90s anime. But it's still within the same art style. It matches the show you're gonna watch, but just touched a little bit into anime.
Nice.
Very interesting, that subtle difference, because if I recall, X-Men was animated by a anime studio still. Yeah, I want to say, was it Sunbow? I know Sunbow did the Transformers show. I don't remember who animated it, but it was a Korean studio. Okay, explains a little bit.
Yeah, I'm watching it right now. It's got just a little flair to it.
That little anime touch, just enough. It's recognizable as X-Men animated series, but you're like, this looks a bit Japanese.
Yeah.
All right. Until next time.
GG's.
GG's, guys.
GG's.